He also played a major key role in the negotiations for Standing Rock. He's a peace ambassador around the world, has received the Mahatma Gandhi Award, and is named by the Indians as a saint. See, they bless them when they live. Patrick plays many roles in this world, and there were too many to name, but one of them is he's the developmental director of the United Nations for Children of the Earth, which includes also many leadership projects for teenagers and young people to be able to bring change into our world. When I talked with Patrick on the phone, he told me his latest project, which is too long to go into, but I'll just give you a short glimpse that he's weaving a new story for humanity, one that speaks of peace and sustainability for our planet, and a story that can be told in many different languages and will travel from village to towns to cities and many lands. What is not being written yet on Patrick McCollum's foundation big website is how it all began for him. When he was 15, he had a fatal motorcycle accident. I love this story, actually, Patrick, so I'm going to tell it. And he was declared clinically dead for about 7 minutes. And in that time, he passed over to the other side. And a beautiful, exquisitely beautiful woman appeared to him. And it was in that moment that it was revealed to him that God is a she. From this moment forth, he devoted his life to her. Welcome, Patrick McCollum.
Yes, thank you.
First, I'd like to say that I'm honored to be in her presence. And I'm honored to be in the presence of each and every one of you. For each of you carry the divine spark that she initiated all creation with. She shared what happened to me, and it was nothing I was looking to have happen to me. I mean, I just drove my motorcycle to my girlfriend's house, and a drunk driver hit me, and that was kind of the end of that story. But the part that doesn't get shared is that I asked her, I said, first of all, she said, "Are you ready? Are you ready to die, to come?" And I said, "No, I want to do all kinds of stuff. I want to get a new motorcycle. I've got this girl I really like, I was negotiating with her. But in the end, I realized she wasn't talking. And so I said, "What do you want from me?" And she said, "I want you to serve me." And at 15 years old, I was thinking, wow, that's easy. Okay, I'll do that. And this year marks my 52nd year, over a half a century of every day serving her. I asked her what it is that I needed to do, and she said I didn't need to do anything. I only needed to listen to her voice. And then she shared that if I would listen to her voice, I could serve to help transform conflict and the challenges that we have in our world into something beautiful, into peace. So over time, I've listened to her voice, and that has taken me on a journey. And the journey is way too long to share, But let's see, they got some stuff up here, so I'll tell you kind of a couple of the little steps, and then the last couple in particular. So I'm just a guy from California, ordinary person, and I'm trying to figure how it's possible I might transform the world in some way. And through a series of different events that took place, I ended up getting invited to what was called the Mahakumbha Mela, which is what you see up here. And I got selected to be one of the saints. I didn't know I was going to be a saint, but I got selected to be one of the 4 saints who blessed the Sangam, the most sacred spot almost on earth where the Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati rivers come together for the Mahakumbha Mela, and 100 million people came. 100 million people. Not on the internet, physically there. So as I stood in the middle in the water with 3 other saints, the people were lined up almost shoulder to shoulder for 50 miles out in all directions. And that moment of getting to bless the river, which I did with this pendant that I wear, because one of the other saints, the Swami who was kind of running things, said, use the pendant, so I did that. And from that moment on, many different things changed. So one of the things that took place was that I had created a violin. She had spoken to me a number of years before, and you're going to hear the violin. Some of you have heard the story, so I won't share all that story. But she told me to make a violin, and to make it out of the remnants of conflict and destruction and pain from people who'd fought in war and conflicts around the world. So the violin that you're going to see is made from pieces from all around the world, over 100 different fragments of wars and conflicts. The back is from a war in Africa. The front was gifted by the Native Americans. The varnish of the violin is made of the vaporized people of Hiroshima 8 days after the atomic bomb. There are many different things that are added inside that violin. For example, the initiating fire, what's called the 7th fire, the 7 fires prophecy, which was lit by the elders of the 7 nations at Standing Rock. They created the womb of the mother, the buffalo calf woman, dug the place that the very first ember was put, which has been carried forward to light the last sacred fire. And the earth from that womb is inside the violin. So that was a really special moment. And the very last thing, which I'll share more information about in my little story I'm going to share right now, is from the first oven built at Auschwitz that killed millions of people. So a fragment of the brick, one of the first bricks from Auschwitz, is inside the violin. And you'll see what happens when she puts her power and energy into all that conflict. It creates something beautiful. Shows us that transformation can take place for all of us. So anyway, I ended up at the Mahakumbha Mela, did many other things after that. I received the Mahatma Gandhi Award. More recently, I received the Ralph Bunche International Peace Award. Oh, I'm sorry. So when I made the violin, when she first spoke to me, this is a very long time ago, I'm lying in bed and she spoke to me, she said, Patrick, I want you to make a violin. And it will become the symbol of peace for the entire world. And I really didn't believe it. But I heard her voice, so I said, okay, I'll go to the library, I'll get a book, and I'll learn how to make a violin. She said, I do not want you to learn how to make a violin. You see, I didn't know anything about making any kind of an instrument. I'm not a musician, never made an instrument my whole life. So I just followed her voice and I made this violin. And last year, this is Dr. Jane Goodall on the floor of the United Nations. She's the messenger of peace for the United Nations, and the other messenger of peace is Yo-Yo Ma. And the two of them blessed my violin, And on the floor for the 70th anniversary of the United Nations and the International Day of Peace, they recognized it officially as a symbol of peace for the entire world. So she said it would happen, and it did. It is now this symbol of peace for the world, and over 1 million people have blessed it. And many of you have blessed it. It's gone all around the entire planet. But let me move forward with a standing rock and tell you a little bit about how transformative that moment was. I'm over here in the East Bay, and I get a phone call. And I've been watching the things about Standing Rock. And I got called by the head elder of the 7 nations that was over everything for Standing Rock. As many of you know, many thousands of people went there and spent time and supported. But they traveled there, felt like they were compelled to go there. That's not what happened to me. The head person for all of it, Chief Arlo Looking Horse, called me and said, will you come be a strategist for us? We've only got a couple people, and we have billions of dollars of attorneys and military people and everybody on the other side, and we don't have what it takes to fight that. We need somebody who can come and help us beat them. So I traveled to Standing Rock, and she told me to go, so I went. And when it came known that I was going to go, the United Nations and the World Peace Prayer Society contacted me and asked me if I would carry a peace pole from the United Nations. They would deliver it to me, and we would take it to Standing Rock and plant it as a symbol that there could be peace in the world at this great conflict. And so I literally got the peace pole. I took the peace pole to Standing Rock. And one thing that's very interesting about it is it says in English, may peace prevail on earth. And then all of the other writing is in the languages of the Native Americans to honor all their traditions, because this was their fight. But they all got together and decided to have may peace prevail on earth written in Gaelic to honor my Irish spiritual tradition. So the peace pole at Standing Rock says that in Irish. In any case, I took the peace pole there, and then, I literally was behind the scenes. There was just a few of us, and we were thinking, what do we have? 5,000 people showed up, and we don't have any firewood to keep ourselves warm. How are we going to feed everybody? We're getting canisters of gas and hand grenades and things thrown at us. People are getting shot. It was really intense. So we created a plan to beat the oil companies and the people on the other side. And we actually did. I don't know if you know that, but we did. We interacted, just a few of us, with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they walked off the job. They wrote a letter to the President of the United States and to the other things that said, we know we are part of the Army, but we cannot morally support the order to put this pipeline in, and they quit. And we got to play a part in all that. Unfortunately, the new president, no matter who you're for or against, vowed that the moment he became president, he would order the Army Corps of Engineers to reinstate things, and that he didn't care what the courts. So we actually have 2 federal lawsuits and stays to keep the oil pipeline from coming in, but they just said they're going to do it anyway, and the President of the United States supported that, and so the court cases are still going on, but they went ahead and ran the pipeline. But while I was there, I got this idea. I'd met some indigenous people from Norway who were Sami people who I'd worked with in my peace work long before, and all the indigenous peoples were coming together to try to support Standing Rock. So I spoke with them and said, I noticed that the Bank of Norway is one of the finance people for the Dakota Access Pipeline, and you have millions of dollars that you've given to it. My understanding is that Norway is a socialist country, and that the banks are owned by the people, and the primary number of people in that particular country are Sami. So the Sami went to the legislature, and the legislature pulled the money from the banks, and they pulled $20 million on our request in one day from the Dakota Access Pipeline. Since there's no time to tell you the whole story, I will tell you that they ran the pipeline, but as of last week, myself and a group of people working together have had $7 billion withdrawn from the banks and corporations that financed and put in the Dakota Access Pipeline. We expect a number 3 billion, another 3 billion by next month. And I will tell you that Wells Fargo Bank, which is the biggest financer, is now considering having a meeting with me. Anyway, as though going to Standing Rock and all the rest of that stuff wasn't enough, she spoke to me and a partner that I have that I work around with and said we needed to go to Auschwitz death camp in Poland. I'd never been there before, never thought about it, but it's one of the greatest tragedies of human history. So we decided we were going to go there, and between 3 people, we decided all of a sudden we wanted to build an international peace center at Auschwitz death camp that would be the same as the World Peace Violin. It would take the worst that human beings have done and turn it into a transformative process that would change the course of history. So we went to Auschwitz death camp, and this is a picture of coming into one of the 2 camps across from each other, but we needed a place to have this. And so we literally went there in a meeting, and when we left, we were gifted with the original first barracks that was built that started the Auschwitz death camp to become our new International Peace Center. And I don't know if we have a picture. We always need to put that picture up there. I'm sorry. Well, to give you an idea, the building that we've been gifted, and this is required the European Union and the country of Poland, and the Germans are involved, and Israel's going to be involved, and all kinds of stuff. But literally just a small group of us, now it's 5 of us, have now taken possession and started transforming this center. It has space to house 10,000 people inside of it. So, we already got some partners to come along, and a month and a half ago, we were approached by the Nobel Prize Committee, and they've decided to showcase our new Peace Center for the presentations for the Nobel Prize. So not that we get the Nobel Prize for it, but that it will become what will be shared with all the Nobel laureates and people around the world for the Nobel Peace Prize. That got Gorbachev want to become part of our project, and we now have 2, one already for sure, and a second considering coming on as partners with us. So we will move forward, a little guy from like Moraga with 2 Nobel laureates, and we will be building an International Peace Center, and then through our different work in India and other places, a guru came forward and said that they will be giving us $10 million to start with to fund the initial cleanup of the project. All that came from the Great Mother.
Shiloh Sophia, you could come forward, please, honey. Thank you for Shiloh. Yeah.
Thank you, Shiloh, your beautiful sanctuary, your peace, your castle, your palace. It's just a pleasure to be in your space.
It's an honor. Thank you so much, everyone, for blessing this space and this land. Just want to offer a brief land acknowledgement for the original stewards and the earth, air, fire, and water of the ones who hold this space at this time. Thank you for allowing me to serve with you today.
And for those of you that are on Zoom, I would love for you now to meet Patrick McCollum and listen to this incredible journey that he went on so that he can share. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Blessed be everybody.
Welcome, everyone. This is Shonda in the Global Fire Ceremony Room on oneworld.earth. And at this time, I want to see if my sister Ingrid is with us. I'm going to go back to gallery view really quick so we can say hello to everyone. Ingrid, are you with us, sister?
Yeah, I am. I'm here.
Wonderful. Let me get you spotlighted. And family on Facebook, it is my honor to introduce Reverend Patrick McCollum with the McCollum Foundation, who is coming to share his journey up into the lands of the Kogi. Welcome, brother. Welcome, welcome. Much love, Patrick. It's good to see you, brother. And I'm going to go watch on the live stream. Much love, family.
All right. It's so great to have you, Patrick. We are so excited to hear of your journey. I've been following it on Facebook, and I mean, obviously, I've known you since one of the earlier World Unity Week. I don't know. I've been following you as you've traveled all over the place, but this was a particularly poignant journey, and I'm just going to take myself out of the spotlight and let you share about it, and then we'll open it up for some questions and answers. Okay?
Okay, sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Well, the thing I'd like to say to start with is all of this journey started right there with all of you. And, I was asked by indigenous people to come and help save the Amazon, and I was at Magdalene Moonrise service with all of you and shared about that and asked all your prayers, and that launched me on what this journey became. So you're all part of it, just so you know. I ended up in this really strange situation where indigenous elders who were selected by 300 tribes across the Amazon, they had an ancient prophecy that said when the Amazon was burning, when the indigenous wisdom was being destroyed, when the earth was at a time when humanity was destroying our very planet and things were really bad, that there would be a man who would come and he would be a peacemaker and he would have blue eyes and he would unite all the indigenous peoples of the Amazon regions and go on to help unite other indigenous peoples so their voices could help to save us and guide us on our way forward on this planet. So, I told them I thought they were all crazy. They thought it was me. And, as I didn't even know about the Amazon when I first started in all of this. But I ended up making a journey to the Amazon and started just trying to unite a couple of tribes of people. There are about 330 or 40 different tribes and nations across the Amazon region. And I just started with a couple individuals. Well, to make a long story short, and then get to the particular journey that's happened just recently, over the space of about 3 years to 3.5 years, I united roughly 300,000 indigenous people in the Amazon region and brought together elders representing over 10 million indigenous peoples throughout the Americas. And then I went on from that to reach across from South America to North America, Canada, United States, Mexico, Central America. And in the end, I created a partnership where we brought on the elders representing 60 million indigenous people who I am now playing a role in guiding toward helping to save this planet. And one of the parts of the journey that I envisioned is the most remote tribe of people on the earth are called the Kogi people. And they have a very unique history in that they're one of, if not the only, remaining indigenous peoples on the planet that were never colonized or modernized in any way. So what happened about 550 years ago when the conquistadors came to South America and devastated all of the nations there, the Kogi fought very valiantly, bravely, whatever you want to say, and repelled the Spanish, and then went up into the highest mountains, 16 to 19,000 feet up. And they caved in the trails with big boulders so that the conquistadors couldn't follow them. And they gradually faded into history, and nobody knew they existed. And for over 550 years, even other indigenous people did not know they existed. They share that they've been in that particular place for over 9,000 years. And they are original, untouched indigenous people who follow what they call the original instructions about how we're supposed to live with the earth and with one another. So just recently, I got an idea with a couple of partners that I was working with to try to create an event where we have prophecies that we all hear of on a regular basis, primarily through the Abrahamic traditions, but also through some of the other more mainstream traditions of what's going to happen to us all as we get to a place where humanity just isn't doing well and our planet isn't doing well. And the indigenous people have a different vision or view of what they think is happening in their prophecies. And many of their prophecies are 5,000, 6,000 years old. And so I thought it would be a unique thing to bring together the prophecy carriers from all across the world, from the indigenous nations, and have them meet with one another and talk with one another and share their prophecies and also what they believe needs to happen for all of us to try to kind of reclaim humanity and our planet. And I started putting together a project. My two partners and myself decided that if we were going to do that, we felt that the Kogi people, their mamos, which are a very special group of sacred elders, should lead this particular thing that I'm trying to bring together. And my goal was to get 100 prophecy carriers. And we interacted with the country of Bhutan, and to take 100 of them, all expenses paid, everything covered, from all around the world to the country of Bhutan, and have this meeting and then have it shared over global networks to close to 1 billion people. And so in order to do that, I had to get the Kogi to come on board. And it's important to understand that they have mostly stayed away from interacting with the outside world at all. And the ones who have live at lower elevations in pueblos that have started to interact with humanity a little bit in the last 30 or 40 years. But the mamos that live highest in the mountains have never connected with civilization at all. And each one of these mamos are born as children. Their mothers go into a sacred cave and they are birthed in the cave, and they never come out for 12 to 18 years. They never see the light of day. They never see the world. They never see other people. They're in the darkness with a couple candles going, and they come to be in connection with spirit, so that when they do come out after 12 to 18 years into the world, they can also perceive things that we can't perceive. So I put together a trip and took 3 other partners with me, and we made a journey up to see the mamos from the highest parts of the jungles in Colombia. And just so you know, those who know me well or have followed my journey, this has been a difficult journey for me because, first of all, in a couple of days, I'm going to be 76 years old. And the second thing is I had 8 full knee replacements during the course of this journey. And I literally went to the Amazon in a wheelchair with a machete. So this was something that I was dedicated to do and needed to make happen. So on this recent journey, which was just a few weeks ago, we drove across the country of Colombia, flew through several airports to little small airports, and then took car across the country, got trapped in a giant protest that the whole highways in the country were shut down. And I got out and negotiated with the protesters, and we managed to get through the protest that was blocking everyone else in the country. And we got up into the jungle and we switched into a four-wheel drive. And then we drove in the four-wheel drive as far as we could up a track through the jungle until the four-wheel drive basically got stuck and wouldn't go any farther. And by this time, it was the middle of the night. And keep in mind, I've had 8 full knee replacements, and I currently have a life-threatening infection in my leg. And I have to walk on a walking stick and can't make it much more than a couple of blocks normally. Well, we got out of the four-wheel drive and we climbed for hours in the dark up this trail through the area that's most known for jaguars hunting humans. So it was kind of a scary journey going up there with little flashlights and headlamps and keeping an eye on what was going on around us in the jungle. And then it turned out we had no way to communicate with the mammals above, but through spirit or whatever, they knew that we were on our way, and they started walking down the mountain to meet us. And one group of them walked for, I think it was 12 or 13 days to come to greet us through the jungles. And we met up with them, and they luckily brought a donkey with them, and we loaded all of our gear, which we were carrying as we were climbing up the mountain with them. And we went up to one of their most sacred temples and then basically lived with them for a week. And I shared with them my vision of how we might save the planet and how we might bring all these prophecy carriers together, and that would they be willing for the very first time in history to come down from the mountain and to lead this whole thing that I'm trying to put together to introduce the wisdom of the indigenous peoples of the world to the world. So, just came back a short time ago, and as could be guessed ahead of time, by the time I got here, my leg was swollen to twice its size, and I've had to go through a bunch of stuff with doctors and everything to try to keep it from turning into something bad. But I'm now back to a place where I can walk around some, and I'm taking a little bit of a rest. And then about, let's see, on the 12th, I travel to Sedona, Arizona, and meet with another whole group of indigenous elders to continue my work. So that's the gist of the journey. And the important part of it that relates to all of you is I had all of your blessings on this journey. It started literally all of us standing together in this ceremony you just did tonight, and, taking that energy with me and being guided by her to make this, the whole journey. So that's the gist of the thing that took place. And if anybody has questions or wants to know more details, I'm here now.
Well, first, I just want to say we are so glad that you are, your infection is at a point where you are able to continue the work that you're doing, that you are getting the care that you need. And it has been a struggle, but I think we can all agree that we'll just take a moment and just hold healing thoughts and energies for Patrick and his body. Just may every cell of your body awaken its source and know that it is filled with the presence of the great physician that knows exactly, just as all of the cosmos is the universe, the realities, every level of existence is held in perfect divine order, perfect divine timing, perfect divine expansion. Everything is happening in perfect order in your body for your highest and greatest good. And we just hold that and send that to your body. And as you do the work that you do, the healing pours through you and out into the other people that you connect with. And just say thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Thank you.
Goddess.
I so much wanted to be with all of you tonight, but I physically just could not make it happen. So I am glad to have been able to watch the whole ceremony and stuff. That was really wonderful.
Well, then you were with us. You were with us, whether it is in physical molecules or electric molecules or the people that are going to watch it on the live stream that are seeing it in that way, and the people that are going to see it at a later point in time because somebody's going to share it and then it gets passed on and somebody makes a comment and therefore it gets to the right people at the right time to see the message that they need to be able to take on whatever next thing they're going to take on. So, all right, that's just my viewpoint. I know that there's some people that have different viewpoints about Facebook and social media and stuff like that, but I believe that today is the day for sharing the good news. And as we share messages like this, and as we comment on messages like this, and as we pass on messages like this, we share the good news.
Well, one other thing I'd like to say is that, if you'd like to know a little bit about the journey, there's a major movie going all over the United States about me and this journey. It's called The Man Who Saves the World. And you can go to themanwhosavestheworld.com and you can find out where it's playing. And, it's playing in many different places across the country. But, I think the thing that I can take away from this, and many of you can, is that I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm not something more special than anyone else. And we all think we can't do anything to affect the world we live in. So many of us are taught from, being young, there's nothing you can do. And I'm here to say you can do something. It doesn't have to be that you go save the Amazon. It can be just that you teach your children the right way to live. But we all have that ability. And also, at my particular age, people start saying, just sit back, relax in a rocking chair or something like that and watch TV. And that, we're sort of done with what we have to contribute. But if you're someone that's a little older like me, I'm proof that you can do a whole lot more. And my partner was Jane Goodall for many years, my closest friend, and she passed away recently. And she was real proof of this. She was 91 and she had just completed going to 30 countries before she died. So, we all still got it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, that must be a heavy kind of burden to label the man who saves the world. Whoa, that's a lot of responsibility.
Wasn't my idea or anything else. And let me tell you, if somebody ever decides they're going to make a movie about you, don't do it. It was quite an experience, like waking up in the morning and having some film people filming you in bed and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Wow. I can only imagine. Well, I see that we've got a couple people that have their hands up that have questions. So let's go ahead and ask Angie to unmute herself and bring her up in here with us. Actually, can you unmute? Angie,
am I unmuted?
There you go. Now we gotcha.
What an inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love your logo for your foundation, the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. I was curious about the results of your journey. Did they agree to participate?
Yes, the Mamos have agreed to participate. They're going to come down from the mountain. And in exchange, we made kind of a deal. So they have a belief that they, in ancient times, they used to activate places on the earth to kind of keep things in balance. And they haven't been able to do that for 500 and something years. And so they wanted to travel to some very specific spots on the planet where great harm are taking place, like the Arctic melting and other things like that. And so I helped them raise some funds and put together the things necessary for them to travel and activate some of those places around the planet that are currently being destroyed and are great harm from human interaction, mostly from greed and people, that don't care about the planet or anybody else. But they are coming down.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, that's exciting and very inspirational. Thank you so much. Bless your heart. Good luck with you the rest of your journey.
Thank you.
Okay, and we also have Dan Morse, who's raised his hand. There we go.
Hello.
Hey, Dan.
Patrick, it's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So really, it's so beautiful. We had a chance to listen to Jim Garrison give his version and his experience of the amazing journey you took. That's just incredible. Congratulations on making that journey.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Jim and Tom and Sally Rani are three people I've worked with over a number of years, and they were really hopeful to try to make this journey. But, the Kogi don't let anybody come there. So I arranged for us all to be able to come and be welcomed there, and they had an amazing experience. It was life-changing for them.
So we were wondering, you and Jim mentioned, the idea that the activation of sacred sites in various points on the earth. But are you aware of a message from the Momos that they're bringing?
Well, they have a number of different messages for us, but their primary message is to do what they call return to the original instructions. And what they really mean by that is that throughout much of human history, not modern human history, but longer human history, human beings saw our planet as sacred. It's like our home, it's where you live, and everything that you get comes from it. And at some place, we decided to commodify it in a way and to not respect it as being sacred. And, they call us the people of the concrete. And they say that we created concrete in order to be able to block out nature. And it's really true if you think about it, like we don't live out in teepees or, huts in the stuff. We put concrete and glass and doors that lock around us so that we can keep nature and everything out. And they believe we need to not necessarily give up our concrete, but that we need to once again really look at nature as sacred in our relationship to it. And they believe that nature's like a guidebook given by the divine to kind of show us how we should proceed through life, and that we've lost that particular connection. And they also call us the younger brothers, meaning that they think that we're like children and that we don't really realize what it is that we've done. It's a little like Christ on the cross, saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They see us as innocent in the sense that we don't understand the destruction that we're bringing, but at the same time that we need to grow up and take responsibility. And when I was there, they said something very powerful, and they said many different things, but one of the things that they said is they said, we've watched you and you've stolen the clouds, and it's like so many powerful things there. And when I was up there, I just want to bring this up. I was trying to understand what is the difference between a society that's never been touched and all the other ones where we've created all these things. So I asked him, I said, how do you deal with crime? And the reason I asked him that is when I came home, I train all the heads over programs in all the prisons in the United States about how to create more humane prisons and recognize that human beings are still human beings, even if they do terrible stuff or stole your car or whatever, you know, that we need to recognize there's a sacredness in all of us. So I was thinking about that. So I asked them, you know, what do you do about crime? And they said, we don't allow it.
Yeah, amazing.
And then they said, actually, in the last 100 years, they did have one crime. And that crime was they have a communal building where they store all their things. So everybody works communally to support the whole community. So, you know, if they grow grain, they put the grain in their corn or whatever. If they make products like clothing and things, they put it in there so everyone has access to it all. And that building is closed up. It holds everything that belongs to the community. And so this guy climbed up over the top, and they have thatched roofs, and like pulled the thatch off, went in and stole some stuff. And he got caught. So they brought all the communities from four pueblos, about 2,000 Kogi across, you know, some of them walked 25, 30 days to get there. And they put the guy in the middle and they said, why did you do this? You know, and he was just saying, well, my wife, you know, she was wanting some things I don't have and such and such. So the community got together and they ended up making a determination. And here was the determination. They gave him the key to the storage place and said, anything you need something, you can just take it. And we're making you the head guy in charge of the storage place. And so now he has a revered position within his community. And if he wants to take something, he doesn't have to steal it. So there doesn't need to be any kind of crime. And they just have so many things like that. I mean, Jim and myself and Tom and Sally cried numerous times in the answers to some of the questions they have. Like, they don't have domestic violence. And they shared why that is. And I won't go into all that, but, you know, we just listening to them, we realize how far we come away from where they are. And that's why we wanted to have them lead this effort to bring these other elders together so that we could really listen to what they want to share with us.
Thank you for bringing them down the mountain and into the world that needs them at this moment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, we have another question from Shoshana.
Hi. Oh my gosh, what a touching, very beautiful presentation. And it's so inspiring, just how this beautiful prophecy and spirit and like this evolutionary unfoldment, and you being such a humble person, just hearing the call. So I imagine they have a lot of sustainable things intact about really how Gaia gives back because they're living in the breath of union with her. Yes. And so I think all of us, because I'm writing a book called In Her Song, because it's sort of the time that we're all kind of stepping up with our own soul song for this great symphonic awakening and rebirth of Divine Mother and Mother Gaia. And so I think we're all, with the veil so thin, getting little patches and glimpses, and I know I have. And there's so many things about song and connection, and I just wonder about just some impressions or some moments for you where you felt that immersion and connectedness and spiritual radiance of that grounded, sustainable commitment, like untouched in a time capsule. And also how they use water, music, or anything that was distinctive for you that you want to share just in a little moment.
Yeah, well, so one thing they did was, share their story of creation, and it begins the great mother of all things, So I can tell you a little bit about them. So they have a different perspective. They see a loving mother who created, what we have, and their whole perspective comes from that place. And this thing about the mamos, not everybody that's a Kogi does this, but the mamos going in a cave, and both men and women do this. So there are mamos and then there are sagas. The sagas are women and the mamos are the men, and they both go through this process in the cave. But the concept is that they're in the womb of the mother, after they're born, and that their knowledge and wisdom about what's most important comes from there. And then they go out into the world. So I was deeply touched by that. I mean, it's something I already believe in to start with, but then to see that that was like what guides them. Then, there were so many profound moments. It's hard to even really share. It's like, so when we came to talk to them about doing these things, and the mamos that are their most, revered elders came down and such, we were in a temple, which is literally like a round building made out of mud and sticks and, thatch roof and stuff like that, dirt floor with a little fire burning in the middle of it. And then, maybe 50, 60 people could get inside of it. And they didn't just bring the mamos, they brought all the children, the moms, everything, so they all play a part communally. And there's this interesting other thing, which you'll love, and that is the mamos are the ones that share the wisdom and everything, but everything spiritual comes from the women. So when the mamos want to share with the world, they decide what they want to say. Then they got to check in with the sagas, and the sagas weigh what they're saying and help correct things and get it right so that they say the right things and do the right things. And to watch the little children playing a role in this process of how to get into that society was really amazing for me. And one thing that really touched my heart was one of the young men who was, I think, had been about 10 years in the cave, had a vision. And so he made a hat, because they learned how to do things when they're in the cave that they could contribute coming outside. Weaving to them is an incredibly important thing, because part of their story of creation is about the weaving together of all creation and things like that. So even the clothing they wear and everything is done in a sacred way. Like the women go into the jungles and they know the plants that they break the fibers from, and the plants are little babies, and they do ceremonies around the plants, and the plants grow. The women harvest the plants, bring the fabric back, then the men and the women weave the fabric together. So every person who's wearing anything, it's the entire community has created it in a sacred way. And just this young man weaving a hat for me in the dark and, bringing it home. I cried, and I brought it with me. And, it's like, to anyone else, it'd just be like a woven hat, but it has something so much more. It is the very first, as he said, gift to the world that he is sharing. And I carry a bag. I call it my Kogi bag, but they're famous for making these bags that last for years and years and years, and can, go through jungles and rivers and everything else. And they carry everything of is important. And it's got like a strap. It's kind of like a purse, but it also has sacred designs in it. And the bags are all made by the women. And a woman can't make a bag until she has her first blood. So that's like the biggest thing that makes her come into womanhood. And then when they make the bags, they decide who gets the bags, and who gets the bags plays a little bit of a role as to how you're seen by society. So when I was there, not on this trip, but the previous trip there, they brought all the bags out and they shared about each bag. And there was a 12-year-old girl that it was her very first thing she made, and I chose that bag. And it's what I carry everything in. And now she's considered to be a sacred person in their society, because there's a law. You have to see the movie to understand the whole story, but I did something for them. And what I did from that for them made them feel I'm a deeply sacred person. So for this young girl to have a deeply sacred person carry all their things in their bag is like a deep thing for her, so there's just so many different things that happen like
So
that.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Hey, do we have any more questions for Patrick?
This is Shonda. I'm going to jump back in here really quick. I think it would be good for us to watch the trailer really quick. I have it queued up. It's about, I believe, a little over 2 minutes. For those that have not seen the movie, I will see about getting access to that through Patrick, where we can find that to buy it and purchase that. But let's go ahead and watch the trailer really quick. I've got it muted. Start back.
All things that we believe are a story.
I'm Gabe Polsky. I make movies. And this is the story of a bizarre journey I took with Patrick McCollum, a guy who may save us all.
My very first war that I ever stopped was in Africa.
He's lived 100 lives as a peacemaker,
helping people all over the planet.
A kung fu master, a prison chaplain to famous serial killers.
Charles Manson, the Menendez brothers.
And he knows how to do just about anything.
I built everything you see here.
It's all up to code, right? But this was entirely different. He found himself at the very center of an ancient prophecy.
The prophecy says there will be a man, and he will unite all the indigenous people of the Amazon.
And then what?
The rest of it unfolds from that.
Patrick, he's not in San Francisco.
I didn't realize I'm talking that loud.
This all seemed unreal to me.
The Amazon will go down, and many people will die. This is very real. I'm going to have to do this.
Is the prophecy real?
Profecía.
You don't know yet to go for Goodman.
He is probably the most extraordinary person I've met.
I traveled across the globe in search of answers.
Unite humanity, restore Mother Earth.
It's so hard for me to conceive.
Well, you must be blind because we are at the place I told you we would be.
Had I gone too far?
He's got this inner conviction which will affect the future of all of us.
One of the hardest things in life is knowing what story to believe.
In 1965, I was pronounced dead. God said, I want you to serve me.
I can only see the top of your face.
But so many of the things were actually happening.
Patrick, eres un mensajero.
Vamos a ver.
Wow. Shonda, I didn't know if you were thinking about maybe having a watch
I'm
party with
just,
it or something?
I'm still, we've got to
Oh,
echo here.
Darren's got I hear the room back, I think. Is
Hi,
that sound is?
I'm Elizabeth Kelley.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, I just did the service, the Gnostic Eucharist service.
Thank you. It's so beautiful.
So Darren is
so
here
beautiful.
too.
This was wonderful.
Sister, we're going to mute you for just a moment while we finish with Brother Patrick.
Did you have a question for Patrick? I know that you guys.
Ingrid,
Patrick,
let me jump back in here really quick.
Okay.
So this is Priestess Elizabeth Kelley, and she's going to be coming in for Q&A for the ceremony itself. So what we're going to do is give Patrick final words really quick and let him conclude any final thoughts. Then we'll move to Elizabeth. Brother, did you have any final comments or thoughts before we move to Elizabeth?
Only that I wish I could have been there tonight, and I'll be there the next time. And as far as the movie, I will work it out that somehow we can get it so you can all see it.
That would be wonderful. And we will see you again on the 10th with Connie and Andrew, brother, back here in the Global Fire Room.
Many blessings.
Welcome, Elizabeth. Come on in, sis. Check your mic, Elizabeth.
Oh. All right. I think I got it. By golly.
Okay, so we're going to do a Q&A session with Elizabeth, as well as anybody that you've got over there that needs to come in, Elizabeth. So if anybody has questions for Priestess Elizabeth, please raise your hand or come on, chime in. And I'm going to attempt to take that break now, Ingrid. I was listening. I thought, oh, we got to show the trailer. Okay, sis, I'm gone. Much love.
All right. Love you too, Shonda. All right. So people that we have a lot of people that were in the Zoom room and in the ceremony participating. I know I personally, the time of receiving the energetic anointing was just incredibly profound, and then to listen to the music and feel the incredible energy of the ceremony was wonderful. Can you tell us anything that you feel like you wanted to share, or make sure that people that were in the Zoom room needed to know or should know, or anything like that?
Well, I did give an introduction. Do you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take myself out of the spotlight. I'm going to put you on the spotlight so the people in the Zoom room can see you more clearly, and also our friends who are watching on Facebook Live.
Anyways, Patrick, good to see you. And I see you're healing, and you've had quite a journey. Yeah. Thank you for all the good work you do. So the rite I did is it was passed on to me through my teacher, Ta Rosamond, who was head of the Mary Magdalene Order. And as I said in my intro, originally all priestesses of Magdalene were first priestesses of Isis. And that's how I started becoming ordained as a priestess of Isis back in 1990. And then I had subsequent ordinations, and then I became a hierophant, which is a big word, or it means a bishop. That means I can ordain others. And so I ordained Christy Michaels, and many of the women who participated in the ritual today were ordained through me. I have what's called the Lyceum of the Holy Sophia, and I was made a hierophant through Lady Olivia Robertson, and I was ordained in an amazing castle, a castle in Ireland, and she wanted me to carry this on as the Sophianic tradition through the Fellowship of Isis, which she created way back, probably in the 50s. So is there any particular question?
Well, let's see if we have anyone have any questions in the Zoom room here.
Elizabeth, this is Shonda. I'll jump back in here really quick. How does one enter the ceremonial rites of priestess? How does one enter that? No, I was asking, how does one get involved in the priestess, in the ceremonial side of everything? How does one actually get involved with the order?
Well, it comes through ordination. Now, to be ordained a priestess in the Holy Order of Mary Magdalene, that's probably not going to happen, because my teacher Rosamond recently passed. So, but there are people within the Fellowship of Isis that ordains priestesses of Isis, and that is through whatever training they might want to create. And I haven't done an official training in a long time, but I've been asked multiple times to do it. So I may be beginning. You can contact me, or somebody can contact me if they want to become in line to be ordained. But it's not an ordination that is, you do X, Y, and Z for a certain amount of time and you become ordained. It's really the individual and how they have come into their own as priestess that and you can tell there's people who are like born priests or priestesses and really demonstrate their commitment and dedication. I don't know.
Well, thank you, sister. And I'm going to remind you of a conversation. So on April 20th of last year, Easter Sunday, I am the same host that hosted this ceremony last year. And these questions were asked. And I would call upon you and Christy a year later to actually start bringing that message to the world. Because something that was discussed on Easter Sunday last year was that there are so many people that have yet to hear of the Nag Hammadi library, let alone the gospel according to Mary Magdalene. And we need to take this message to the world. And I believe the Magdalenes are those that should carry that message. And I believe Dan has his hand up, sister. Let's bring him in.
Yes, Dan and I are good friends, and
good deal. Come on in,
we
Dan.
have worked together. Yes, Dan.
Very good. So, yeah. So, Elizabeth, we watched the Eucharist. It's wonderful as always. The marriage of the Christos and Sophia. It's striking that Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, is the person who helped to anchor the greater cosmologies and stories and themes of the Christos Sophia. And so this is kind of a question for you and also Patrick. Patrick was, before you came, Elizabeth, Patrick was talking about the Cody and the creation stories. And we all come, in their creation stories, they all come from the mother. And it seems like this is such a important, theme, opportunity to reclaim the feminine and the divine feminine as source, and that the lack thereof is part of what has sort of led us astray. And so it's kind of a question to both you and Patrick about what is or what can we do with some of the work that we're doing. Like how can we reorient ourselves to the divine feminine as source and how connect with it in this time of great peril.
Let's give him a moment to come back in.
I was just gonna say he must have dropped out of the room.
Did somebody else hear Dan's question?
So I didn't hear his full question, but I think that the end of his question was, how can we get people to reorient with the, feminine divine and, help that to come more into our society? It's like it's a big missing piece. And he was just asking your thoughts on that and my thoughts on that. And so I think that was the question to you.
Well, I know Dan very well, and Dan is quite active with the work that he does, and I'm just never been great at self-promotion. I do have a class series coming up, and that you can, on the Gospel of the Beloved Companion. That's an incredibly deep and beautiful writings that speaks of Jesus's teaching that is on the other side of the resurrection, and it contains none of the horrible blood of Jesus and all of that, but it's a beautiful teaching about raising the energy up your spine and how to come to full awakening. So I encourage anybody who is interested. And I just want to put this in. I was raised Catholic, and I went to my parish church was the Church of the Most Holy Rosary. So, if you're born and raised Catholic, very often you're born and raised with this devotion to Mother Mary and to the Divine Feminine. So I started very young with that. Here comes Christy.
I just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Sorry about the tech problems, but we really appreciate everybody's willingness to hang in there and be a part of this. So thank you, much love.
I also, for 56 years, have been sharing about the Divine Feminine, and for about 25 or 30 years, I taught classes also on that. And then, in recent years, I just had so many projects and so many other things. I've not backed out of that, but it's just, I'm trying to do the work. And so I just haven't had time to share a lot about that. But one thing that some of you know is that how I got involved in that whole concept to begin with is in 1965, I was in a fatal accident and I was proclaimed dead for 7.5 minutes. And I went through a tunnel of light and I saw God, and God was a woman. And she spoke to me, and that changed everything. So, I think we just share the messages as much as possible. And I wanted to share with you, and then I actually have to go, that Lady Olivia was a friend of mine. And I've been in that castle, amazing place, and you're so privileged to have been able to have that honor. And that's, So anyway, I'll bow out because you're the one who's supposed to be answering questions. I just came in because Dan asked. So I'm
I
muting
believe
myself.
Elizabeth's trying to say something before you go, brother. Come on back in.
Yeah, I just also want you to meet my granddaughter, who's 3, who did anointings and blessings today for the first time as a young budding priestess. You want to say hi?
Hi.
She loved it. She did a great job.
Yay! Congratulations, sweetheart.
Yes, you will do it again next year.
That's beautiful.
Good night, everybody. I have another obligation, so I'm going to say good night.
Okay, thank you,
beloved
Patrick.
brother.
Is there a place where we can follow your journey? Also, if people, I know I've personally been following it on Facebook, but if anybody wants to follow your journey.
Really, Facebook is the best way just because I post every couple of days about what I do, And the other thing you can do is go to patrickmccollum.org, and my foundation posts things about, different journeys and things that are happening also. So
awesome.
But the real place to just meet me is I have professional Facebook page, but don't go to that. Not don't go to it. I have a whole team of people want you to go to it, but my personal Facebook page, I just post all the time on there about everything that I do. And I answer every person who asks me any kind of question every day. So
Awesome.
that's the best way.
Thank you. Thank
All right.
you.
Good night, all.
But
Oh,
basically,
very
the classes are going to start in April 3rd. No, we're in April. It must be
We are in
May.
April.
May 3rd. Sorry.
Non-linear time to put on a calendar is sometimes tricky. Donna has a question for us too, or for you two.
Elizabeth, I took a class with you a couple of years ago, and I still, the energy that comes through you is so powerful. When you were presiding during the ceremony, there were times when you were reading, but I had a sense there were times when energy was just coming through you so powerfully and came right through the screen to the rest of us. What was the experience like for you when you're presiding like that?
Well, you know, I only pray that something higher than me, you know, expresses through me. And so how that lands with someone else, of course, I have no idea. But, you know, last night, this morning, in my prayers, in my meditation, I do invoke, you know, something higher to work through me. Sorry, there's all kinds of things going on. We're at the beautiful art studio of Shiloh Sophia, and you know, we have to clean up and move out. But yes, do you live, Donna? Do you live in the Bay Area?
In Redwood City, yes.
Oh, well then my teacher Rosamond was in Redwood City. Do you know the
really?
Do you know this
No,
Gnostic
I do.
sanctuary? Her husband
No.
is still doing services. So what you saw today was a shortened version of the Gnostic Eucharist. But if you Google Gnostic Sanctuary, anyone else who wants to can Google Gnostic Sanctuary, and he does the entire version online and in person. So you can go to the sanctuary if you're in Redwood City.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, you can
Well,
see the address.
thank you for who you are, for all that you have allowed to come through you. I know it hasn't been easy to say yes to all of that. And I just, for one, am very grateful for all that you have brought through to us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Thank you. Because you don't know how it
Yeah,
lands.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. Thank you.
Is there a website that people can go to, or Facebook page, or some?
I have a website. It's mmagdalene.org. And you can reach me directly at Elizabeth at mmagdalene.org.
It's saved now. It'll go to his desktop.
All right. We saved the chat.
Thank you
Wonderful.
so much for hanging in there with us.
Of
we love
course.
you guys.
Thank you so much for having us to join you and to opening the space for those of us who could come and meet virtually with you on Zoom, and for all of our family, extended relatives who are watching in on the various different channels that's been shared to on Facebook. It's gone out to a lot of different pages. So wherever you are at and wherever you are watching from, we hope that you have we want to say thank you for participating in the sacred time of sharing in the ceremony, the fascinating updates from Patrick McCollum, and then back. This is this chance to go a little bit deeper into understanding the pointing towards the divine feminine as as source and to learn how to find out more about becoming the ceremonial process that you are sharing as well. So thank you, Elizabeth.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
And thank you, Christy.
Adieu.
All right. Is there anybody else in the room that has any more questions or comments or anything to add? We have a couple of people that have said thank you so much in the chat. Shoshana and Melinda, so thank you for the program. There's probably more that are up here, but that's just what I see at the moment. So, Shonda, do you have anything else that you want to add?
All right.
Okay.
I am going to bid good night because all these people are wanting access to this room. And I have to drive. And so I will say good night. Thank you all for attending. And maybe we meet again.
Yes.
Thank you, Sister. Elizabeth, thank you, Sister. Ingrid, please close our sacred space. We're going to call it a night.
Well, let's go ahead and bring our attention to the sacred web that we are all a part of, and the weavings of our stories together, our times together, our ancestral lineages, our friends that we know in physical. We come together in this time, in this place, and weave all of the sacred energies of all of the ceremony, of the sharings, our time together, anything that has happened in awarenesses that we have had in our own bodies or in our hearts or in our minds, as we turn towards, reorient towards the heart, reorient to the mother, reorient to the mother, the divine feminine, as source. We breathe that in and we breathe that out. We say thank you, thank you, thank you for every aspect of this experience of the now. And so it is. Thank you, family. Until we meet again, be blessed.
Hi, hi. And until we dream again.
Amen.